Have you guys ever heard of the Alien and UFO documentary that Disney made in the 90s? You may be thinking, the sea, what the hell are you talking about right now? Are you insane? Well, that's not a question. It's a very well-known fact that I am clinically insane. But I can assure you that has nothing to do with this video. Well, maybe. Because you see, do you know what else is insane? Alien conspiracy theories. Back on topic, would you look at that? Yes, Disney actually made a freaking alien and UFO documentary. But why? To answer this, we need to go back to the early days of Disneyland back in the 1950s.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Disneyland consists of 5 lands: Fantasyland, Adventureland, Frontierland, Main Street, and Tomorrowland. Tomorrowland, as many Disney historians generally agree, left much to be desired. The land featured attractions that played off the excitement that surrounded the Cold War space race, where the United States and Soviet Union were in a constant battle of one-upmanship, trying to explore more and more of space. A few of the attractions included Autopia, which is based on a futuristic idea of an interstate highway. And Flight to the Moon, which, as the name implies, simulated a trip to the moon. There was always one problem with Tomorrowland, though. Tomorrow eventually arrives. Unlike the other lands, Tomorrowland has no set place and time that Disney can draw from through a historical lens, so they have to redesign Tomorrowland every few years. So in the 1990s, with CEO Michael Eisner at the helm of the Walt Disney Company, there was a new plan. Update the Disney Tomorrowlands around the world, starting with the Walt Disney World one in Florida. Eisner had a plan to make the parks more appealing to teens, so he devised a plan to make an attraction based off the Alien series. Yes, I'm serious. After failing to acquire the rights for Alien, Eisner commissioned the Imagineers to design a new alien to focus on. The team came up with XS Tech, a galactic megacorporation that is demonstrating teleportation technology to the citizens of Earth. But the teleporter malfunctions, and a large carnivorous monster ends up being teleported into the demonstration room. Needless to say, this was a horrifying attraction. And eventually the attraction would close to be replaced with a Stitch-centric version of the show. Now, while I find the story to be interesting enough, it's been discussed many times on YouTube before. I am here today to discuss something far more eerie. To promote the attraction, Disney released an hour-long UFO and alien abduction documentary on some of its smaller networks in only a few cities in the country as a test for audience reception. As any sane person would expect, the reception was, well, terrible. Parents called in to complain that the subject matter was being too dark and damaging for their kids' developing minds. So what was so bad about this documentary? Why did it cause such an uproar from its small audience? Well, allow me to explain. The film opens with a wholesome intro showing all the things Disney's done over the years, from the parks to animated feature films. Speaking personally, this intro was super nostalgic. It took me back to when Disney was very magical and less lightning lane. And this lulled me into a false sense of security. At first I thought I would get into a documentary possibly debunking alien conspiracy theories, or one made with a far more light-hearted tone where they would discuss the educational sci-fi films Disney made in the 50s as part of the Tomorrowland promotional material back then. But nope! After this wholesome intro, we cut to the Disney CEO at the time, and the current meme of the Disney Parks fandom, Michael Eisner, in front of what looks to be a military base with armed guards with machine guns? In this theme park ad? Jesus Christ.
Hello, I'm Michael Eisner, head of the Walt Disney Company.
They then cut to a summary of the segments to come.
The shocking history of government misinformation programs designed to prevent widespread panic, and personal accounts of those who have been abducted and studied against their will.
It's happened to me, it's happened to my sister, and I believe my mother.
I've had enough. Stop it.
Get some help.
I thought this was mental illness. Then my son started speaking about little airmen coming into his room and taking us up, and there was even one point where he said, "They took blood out of you, Mama."
What? What the
What the hell? Now, the host of this documentary brings up a great point about how we have a history of fooling ourselves when faced with new scientific discoveries, and how people who apply scientific reasoning often get chastised for their intelligence.
Now, as we approach a new millennium, mankind is in the midst of the most profound event in history, actual contact with intelligent life from other planets.
After this intro set in Disney World, we cut to a bunch of UFO sightings over the years in some major cities, such as Mexico City, Washington, D.C., which are interesting for sure. Next, the documentary discusses the Majestic 12, a group that supposedly acts as the UFO investigations division of the government. Here's the thing though, they don't exist. The Majestic 12 is a hoax, and this has been confirmed for a very long time. This documentary also discusses another very interesting topic. A law passed by Congress in the 1960s that forbids any American citizen from having contact with an extraterrestrial. This is actually false. Allow me to explain. During the space race of the Cold War, there was a goal by NASA to land a man on the moon. Here's the thing though, since it was the 1960s, it was only hypothesized that the moon was a lifeless celestial body instead of being a scientific fact. To take extra precaution, NASA had all returning astronauts to the Apollo 11 mission undergo a quarantine, just in case they've been affected by any alien viruses so they don't infect any of the people around them. So yes, you can actually interact with aliens and there wouldn't be an issue. And the fine and jail time is only given if you don't comply with any quarantine that the government may demand of you. Next, the documentary discusses the theory of panspermia, which is something with actual scientific merit to it. On Earth, we have these creatures called extremophiles, which can exist in the vacuum of space, so it stands to reason that if there are organisms like that on other planets, who's to say that an apocalyptic event such as an asteroid impact couldn't launch debris into space and crash land on another planet? So in a sense, yes, in theory we encounter extraterrestrials every day if this theory is true. What's that? This documentary actually presents actual scientific theories based on critical thinking and real facts about our world. Who would think? Because next up, we have by far the most disturbing part of this test of my sanity.
The most important thing about this, I think, in studying it is to realize that there are very distinct patterns. This is not just a box full of crazy experiences which are mutually contradictory. The patterns start this way. People are abducted first in childhood.
When I go back into my memory, I don't know a day without them.
And they are then re-abducted over many, many, many years.
When I saw this light on the freeway, my first reaction was, oh my God, not again.
I grabbed the side of my bed like, no, you're not gonna get away with this. You're not gonna get away with it this time.
On this earth, when you are raped, when you are mugged, even if you don't see that person that is doing you bodily harm, you have somewhere to go. You can go to the police and at least give a report whether they do something or not. You have somewhere to go.
What the hell? So, in this documentary, one of the supposed abductees brings up, well, that. And when I initially watched this, I was actually really freaked out by Disney making this. Like, why would they release this ad to promote the Magic Kingdom? Why? Did nobody stop and consider, maybe, just maybe, this is a bit much? I'd also like to bring up that some of these people do not seem to be all there mentally speaking. I have no idea what it may be it fear or a disorder, or they could just be actors. I wasn't able to find any of their names or any biographies of these people, so I really have no way of verifying what's up with these guys. I must say, this is the only really creepy part of the documentary. The music they use combined with the accounts of the supposed victims is very ominous, so I will give credit where it's due here, and give praise to the post-production crew of this film. Except for the fact that they constantly zoom in on their freaking faces. Hey Steve the cameraman, pull that away from their face, buddy. I'm claustrophobic. And right after this, we are back at the Magic Kingdom? That's it? That's it. We just go from people talking about horror stories to an attraction that, fun fact, was partially designed by George Lucas. Yes, the George Lucas of Star Wars fame. But seriously, what the hell? Why?
I have a question for God! Why?